Hello, everyone. This is Gigi McMillan with Purple Runway and Camisole Style Consultancy. We are excited about this Touch Base Tuesday with our rock, like we like to always call Greg Puhl. He has worked with us over the past 6+ years. Greg is an intricate part of this organization, both Purple Runway and Camisole Style Consultancy. Um, he is a photographer. He's a great friend. He is one of the most amazing husbands that you'll ever meet in life. And he has a great family, great children. And it was so important, as I've said in the past chats, that not only to get to know me as the founder of Purple Runway, but also get to know the amazing people that helped me build and grow and think and visualize all the things that have made this organization what it is. So I am super excited and happy to introduce you to my friend and our rock, Greg Puhl.
You're very kind. Thank you for having me today. And I look forward to our conversation because they're always fun, they're always insightful, and they're always very self-fulfilling for me. So
Oh,
thank you very much for having me.
thank you, Greg. So, Greg, I want you to tell, it's so fitting for you to be here on Touch Base Tuesday because you are a veteran. Thank you for your service. And
Thank
we
you.
just celebrated Memorial Day. So, can you tell me, what does Memorial Day mean to you as a decorated veteran?
Wow, that's kind of a loaded question because my time goes back to a very unpopular time in our history, and that is the Vietnam War. I was in the Army during Vietnam. People were not very kind to us by any stretch of the imagination. And I always think back to my friends and my brothers and sisters in arms that lost their lives. And I don't think it was appreciated at the time.
It was.
Fast, yeah, fast forward in history, it is more now, and Vietnam veterans are getting more recognition today than they have in the past. But as a veteran of that period, people may not realize that we would get off airplanes, find the nearest bathroom, change into some civilian clothes so that we did not get stuff thrown at us or spit on. Um, and those are the wounds that some of the veterans are still dealing with. We appreciate the strides that have been made coming forward, but those wounds don't go away. You know, they're still there.
Yeah. That's what we call the post-traumatic stress disorder. And
Right.
I mean, I think America on a whole is still growing and understanding how can we relieve and alleviate those emotional scars and wounds, and how important it is for us to do so for our veterans. My dad is a veteran. My uncle is a veteran. My uncles are veterans. And you know, it's very important for me to show my appreciation, have always, as a military brat, my appreciation for all that veterans have done for us, because we wouldn't have our freedoms, we wouldn't have this in such a way. So I really appreciate everything. I really appreciate everything that you all have done and what you had to endure, because as you said, it was not something that was appreciated at the time, you know.
And it's interesting if you go down to the Vietnam Wall sometime and just stand back and observe during tourist season. It's more like all those names represent lives that are brothers and sisters and husbands and nephews, and but people will walk past that wall, start to finish, just kind of walk past it, and you can almost see them pull out a piece of paper that says, "Okay, been there, done that. Now I can go on to the next thing." And they don't take time to reflect on what that wall really means.
Mm-hmm.
There's about 59,000 plus names on that wall, all who lost their lives. and it's our national tribute to them and their service to our nation.
Right. Well, definitely. I truly appreciate and honor you because of that. And it takes us into a perfect segue of with everything that you've accomplished for, you know, our country, and the good and the not so good. One of the ways that you and I connected so many years ago was through your artistry and your
Yes.
photography. So how does being a photographer make you feel, and what inspires you through your photography?
Um, Photography for me is a way to escape, if you will, maybe relax. Because once I get behind the camera, nothing more matters other than what we're doing at the moment.
Mhm.
Um, and in the moment, we're trying to capture an image that will tell a story, whether that's for a magazine, a newspaper, or for just a family picture. We want to tell a story and evoke some kind of an emotion out of that image. And that's kind of what I really work towards a lot, is just trying to capture that emotion, that image that will last for a lifetime, and somebody will look at it and then actually see a story in it.
Well, yeah,
Um,
and you've successfully done that because there was one particular image that sold of yours, and it was a one of a kind. And as we know, when you capture and you're behind that lens, every millisecond is important, right? Because when
exactly
that
correct.
millisecond, when it comes, that millisecond will never, ever be repeated in life.
And,
You
and,
can
and
never
the,
capture that again. Whether
and
even
the
if
beauty,
you're fluttering, each
yes.
one of those flutters have a different identity that's embedded in them. So that photo that you created that sold as a one of a kind, can you tell us more about that?
Um, I think you're speaking to the firemen.
Yes.
Um, that particular image was a tribute to first responders, and it was just kind of we were in the studio. The model, Sam, was an actual fireman, and he had brought his gear to the studio, and I just ran a concept past him. I said, "This is what I kind of want to do," and he was game for the image, and it turned out um, better than either one of us had anticipated.
Yeah.
I sat on the image for a long time um, because I didn't know what to do with it, and then I have a great team that supports me, a retoucher and some hairstylists, and my retoucher had an idea, and we said, just let's run with it, and we created the image. I had it printed on canvas for Sam so that he had some kind of a memento of the shoot. And when I gave it to him, he said, "This is much better than I had ever anticipated." So the beauty of it is we were able to tell a story, and everyone has seen an image of some sort. He's on where a soldier's on a knee, kind of in a peripheral pose with the American flag wrapped over his shoulders. Um, and we've got some mileage out of it, but it was a one of a kind.
Yeah. And then also you were able, I can't remember which station that was, but I think you covered Rolling Thunder one year.
Yes, 2 years ago we covered. Well, I'm Rolling Thunder every year, and Channel 7 had set up right next to where I was shooting stills, and we got to we got to talking, the anchor and I, and he noticed the black band that I historically wear on my left arm, and it's a band that simply says Wesley Robert, 27 November '86. And he was curious about that. So he asked about it. And I said, well, that's our son who had passed away. And we just got to talking. And over the course of time, he, unbeknownst to me, he started rolling the camera and captured our conversation, and it ended up on the nightly news. So, yeah.
Beautiful. And I think that that's one of your unique personality traits, Greg. It's just that everyone feels comfortable talking to you when they meet you. People are drawn to you, and every shoot is very special to you. And that is something that just made our years amazing, because I love the way that you prepare for shoots. I love the way that you um, dig deep and you look past just being behind the camera and you tell the story like you continuously say.
Yeah.
And that's so amazing, and a lot of times is exactly what great photographers do. You know, they're not just looking for that one picture to capture, they're looking to tell their story. So that is amazing. And also, what you shoot various things. So you've shot for veterans and you've shot themes. You really like retro shoots, like, you know,
Yeah.
1950s, 1960s. We've
Yeah.
done quite a few of those
We
together.
have done
And
those.
then, yeah, we've done those. And you also have shot fashion, right?
Yes, I have.
So if you had to select or choose or what have you, what would be the most fun for you and that you really, really enjoy shooting? Just freestyle, free flowing with your shooting.
I like to go 50s, 40s, and 50s. That's my kind of my favorite
Yeah.
style. And then watching the models transform into their characters, um, and have them tell me afterwards that was fun,
Mm-hmm.
and it's unlike anything I've ever done before. You know, I think back to the one we did with Brandon and Rebecca,
Oh
and
my
Rebecca,
goodness. Great.
she,
That was a great
she was,
shoot.
yeah, she was just ecstatic at the end. She goes, I never thought that I could look like this. And we turned her in like to a Betty Garbo. And
We
she
had a
just
lot.
had that was still one of my favorite shoots.
Yeah, you remember? I cannot remember. It was so long ago. I cannot remember the models' names, but we did the 1950s look with the
Yes.
Coca-Cola bottles. I think it was the same day or was another shoot. I can't remember, but that turned out really, really well too.
Yeah, that was the same shoot. Because we did some James Dean. We were able to take Brandon outside, and we did James Dean in the red jacket, the Coke bottle, and
That's
the
right.
rolled up jeans and everything. And then with
But it
Rebecca,
was another model that was there. I don't think that model was Rebecca though. Wasn't it another model?
there was a female model that we shot afterwards. I think it was Antonio and a female model. And I can send you the pictures because
You
I
probably,
still
yeah,
have.
that's why you probably remember better than me. I was like, oh, I thought we had another model.
Yeah.
Like, I don't
No, we had done two shoots that day.
know.
One, and it was just one of those. If you may recall, there were only like four of us in the studio when we started that shoot, and by the time we got done, we had like 25 people in the studio. You remember that? And they were all saying, "Wait, this is
People
the fun."
love to be in the studio with us. We have
Yes.
such an amazing time.
If you can't have fun, then there's no point in doing it,
No
because
point.
if the models can't relax and have fun, then it's not going to be a good shoot, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree.
And so, yeah, we were able to we let our hair down on that one and just had a good time.
Yeah. And this past year, I think the more recent, you know, you helped us shoot the speakers for I Thrive Sisterhood and
Yeah,
Breakthrough Summit for the Breakthrough
yeah.
Summit for Purple Runway. And that was an amazing shoot. And it was so different than what we were used to, because we were able to really connect with um, the doctors and therapists and holistic leaders. And it was all for the purpose of Purple Runway and surviving, thriving, and conquering. So
So,
that was a very unique shoot. It was something that will always be honored. And I thank you so much for taking the lead on that,
pleasure is all mine.
and making everyone feel so comfortable in front of the camera. So let me, the next thing is I know you're growing your business and you're ready to get back to shooting.
I am.
What are you? I mean, when we get our get out of jail free card, Greg. So what are you looking to do? What is on the agenda? Are you looking at publication shoots? Are you looking at theme shoots? And what kind of services do you provide so we can make sure that we connect people with you?
Yes, I am looking to get back in the studio, and yes, I've already got my first project is kind of in the works. I've been talking to Tommy. Tommy is a model that came
We've
from
worked
here
with
and went to
several
New York.
times.
Yeah. He and I are talking about going into a cigar bar with the walnut panels and the high leather chairs and
Mm.
everything, and do kind of a cigar aficionado style shoot. Very high end, very classic. And of course, every time I step behind the camera and work with someone, the intent is for publication. And that's kind of where I want to get to is being able to get picked up every now and then by a magazine. As far as what we're doing, we can do headshots, corporate headshots, modeling headshots for actors and actresses. We can do stylized fashion shoots for people that are trying to build their portfolio.
Mm-hmm.
My where I gain my biggest amount of satisfaction is being able to help new models that are looking for lens time and building their portfolios, because I mean the door is wide open for us, and we can be very creative in what we do and give them a portfolio that will hopefully stand up against anybody else. So that's kind of where I like to do it. I like to get the new models and kind of get them in, and you know, if you will, break them in a little bit in front of the camera.
Yeah, I think you have a lot of patience for that, and we've been pretty successful. Especially, I can't remember what year that was when we hosted and supported. Like we had over 12 models connected to the
Yeah,
brand, and of course we only planned to do that for a year, and we shifted out of model management. But it was great because so many of them even have gone on to either continue to model. Some of them have decided that they wanted to be nurses and they find their other specialties that it was so much fun in the beginning as we grew in that sense.
yeah.
Um,
Well,
but
it's nice to watch where people go with it too,
yeah,
because the
yeah.
one that the one that sticks out in my mind is a young man. The first year, well, there are two of them that stick out in my mind. One is, and it was the first year we did the Purple Runway, and we were in the studio, and
Hmm.
there's a young man by the name of, I'm going to get it wrong, Alan Michaels, I believe it is, or Michael Allen. He was very quiet and very unassuming, but recently got picked up as a cover model for a magazine. So
Beautiful.
I've been watching his career from the sidelines, and
Hmm.
he's done very, very well. And of course, you remember Jake, um, Jake Elmendorf, whom
Yes,
we've worked with, who
yes.
has gone on to a successful reporting career and still
Hmm.
does, I think, still does some modeling.
Has
And
created videos and branding with him, and
yep,
yeah, that was just it's been a journey. We have experienced quite a bit together, Greg.
we have.
But
And the satisfaction for me is knowing that even one image will help them get along the way. Jake's uh, first CD that he ever did, and you recall it was the picture on the cover was Jake standing there, kind of with his in a very pensive look.
it was his time will tell. I, helped
Yes,
him through the studio and produced
yeah,
that and worked with the productions and everything to get
and
his first album done. Yeah.
and I took the picture. I don't know if you ever
Yes.
told me, but that was my picture.
Yes.
So we've
I
made
did
covers of
I know I
CDs.
think I did know that.
Yeah,
Yes.
and
And you know
that
what?
was
We released that. He received like I think the first day he had over like 15,000 views
yeah,
like within the first 24 hours. And the song was so fitting as a first release, and
Yeah.
he got a lot of support off of that. And then he went to Florida. He moved to Florida and decided
Yep.
that he wanted to be a record. But we had so much fun. We did the underwater shoot.
Yes.
I mean, it's so much creativity that's happened over these many, many years. It's just wonderful. It's wonderful.
And this walk down memory lane, one I haven't taken in a long time.
Yeah.
You remember the 1950 shoot we did with Michael, the very first one where we ever worked together. Michael was the
Oh, that's right.
yeah.
I remember his name was Michael, but I can't I remember it was at the old Union 206.
Exactly. And
Old.
we brought in an old microphone and hooked it up and
Yep.
got it going and set up like a stage for like a Pussycat Lounge.
Yeah.
The 50s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. We've done a great deal. So all these years with us being connected to, the creativity of the studio, in the studio, out the studio, you've also been a very intricate part of Purple Runway. And so what inspires you about continuing to support us in both veins?
It's kind of personal. And I'm going to go back to when my wife and I first got married. We were married for like a year and maybe a little longer. And there was this one particular day where things were not going real well in the house. And she started to walk away from me as I was talking to her. And as she started walking away, I grabbed her arm and realized almost immediately that that was the wrong thing to do. But she looked at me with this hurt on her face. And said, "Stop manhandling me." Never forgot it. And that's kind of what propels me is that in society, we don't have the privilege of touching people and hurting them just because we're bigger or we're stronger or we think we can. To this day, that is embedded in my brain, and I will never forget it. And that's kind of so if I can help prevent someone else, particularly a female, from experiencing that, then that's my job.
Well, you know what, Greg? I mean, we've never talked about that.
No.
So that kind of just hit me, in a weird way, because I would have told you a long time ago, do not beat yourself up because of that. And you know what, Karen, you all have a love that surpasses a lifetime. And the great part about it is that even in that millisecond of a moment, right? You knew that you were like, that wasn't the right thing to do. And you changed in that millisecond of a moment. And Karen put a boundary in place in that millisecond of a moment. And how many years have you all celebrated with marriage?
We have been married for 40 years.
40 years.
So, yeah.
So you're saying this happened between the first year, year and a half. You're young and we're learning, and you were serving, and you just, it was a reaction, but it wasn't a reaction that you couldn't come back from. And it was a reaction that you learned, you looked in your wife's eyes and said, that will never happen again. And you've kept that up. Also, Karen, as you know, most people may not know, you and I have kept in touch over this past year. You have not been shooting as much.
No, I've not.
Because you know, we celebrated Karen. What was that year with our friend Manny? 20,
I think that was 2015
was it
or early 16.
early
Or-
16? It may have
yeah,
been, I think it was 16. And she had beat cancer.
yes,
And
she did.
she had beat cancer. And we worked with, what is it? The Springfield Town Center. We had the
Yep.
whole mall before it opened. We had over, I don't know how many models that were there. It was quite a bit of them. And we all did a mannequin challenge. That's when everyone was doing the mannequin challenge.
Exactly. And
And
I remember the call on that one because Karen knew of you, but she had never spoken with you.
right.
And we were at Bed Bath and Beyond, of all places. And you called, and I said, Gigi wants to talk to you. She goes, Gigi? She doesn't know me. And that's where you told her about the photo shoot. And she was very excited about that.
Oh my goodness. And we knew love wins no matter what. She was amazing. She was so excited that day, but she was also shy that day. But it was, everyone came together, including our host of hosts, Manny at Lawrence Clothiers. We came together to celebrate her in the way that we all loved, and it was beautiful.
Yes.
So all those amazing attributes that she encompasses. And then one thing that, you know, she's gone on and she's resting right now. But as the person that I know Greg to be, he has a tattoo. So
I do.
tell us what the tattoo is, Greg, what you did after she passed.
Well, it's to lay the groundwork. Since the day we got married, I kept saying, "I'm going to get a tattoo. I'm going to get a tattoo." And first of all, she said, "No, you're not." And then she started acquiescing a little bit. She goes, "Oh, if you want to get a tattoo, I really don't care." And then when she was in the hospital in her last 6 months of life, I said, "Well, I'm going to get a tattoo." And she goes, "Well, I need to know what it's going to say because I got to look at it." I said, "Well, I really don't know yet." But the two things that I was wrestling with is the original tattoo was supposed to say, "Her fight is my fight," you know, thinking that she was going to beat cancer and that she was not going to be there alone. Well, when she passed away, my brain started thinking a little differently. And the tattoo ended up, after several renditions, saying promise kept, or excuse me, promise made, for better or for worse, in sickness and in health, until death do you part. Promise kept. And then it has two interlocking wedding rings. And that is very meaningful for several reasons. Karen and I had a conversation a while back, and I told her something that she had never knew before, and that is the night that we got married, as her father was walking her down the aisle, I knew that at some point we were going to be fighting cancer, simply because it runs in her family. And so I didn't know when, and I didn't know where it was going to happen. And so when she called me in 2014, and she said, "I have been diagnosed with breast cancer," I simply said, "I knew we were going to have this conversation. I just didn't know when." So I was not caught by surprise. She ended up beating breast cancer and was clean for 4.5 years. Well, we almost made it to the 5-year mark, which is the magic number. Mm-hmm. She started having issues with her back, and we went in and had it checked out and found that she had a lump in her sacrum, which is down in the lower part of the back with a bundle of nerves. So in April of last year, she had back surgery. And we thought that we had caught everything. Well, as she was recovering from back surgery, she had an accident. It really wasn't an accident. She was trying to get out of bed to go to the take care of some business, and her arm cracked. Well, she didn't think anything of it. Well, that crack turned out to be a break. She broke her arm simply trying to get out of bed. So being very concerned, we took her to the hospital and found out at that point that the cancer was back, but it was not metastatic breast cancer. It was lymphoma, which is a very nasty. It was very nasty. It's blood cancer.
Mm-hmm.
And so the hospital spent the next 4 months simply trying to save her life. We did not know at that time how bad it really was, but they spent. One day the physician walked in and said, "Now that I've saved your life, we can start curing the cancer." So that tells you how bad it was.
Mm-hmm.
So throughout last year, from May until December, she was in and out of the hospital so many times, just trying to keep her alive. And that's kind of what stirred the tattoo, is because when you stand at 25, when you make a promise that I'm going to stick by you no matter what, you really don't know what that means until you have to face it. And then you have to just, for me, it was okay, what are you going to do? You're going to man up and do what you're supposed to do? Or are you going to cower and just leave her alone? And my decision right from the start was she was not going to go through this alone, that I would be by her side every step of the way. And I would hold her hand. So that's what the tattoo means. I mean, it's a long story, but I mean,
It's okay. It's a beautiful
not just
story.
a tattoo.
It's not just a tattoo. Promise made, promise kept.
Exactly.
Promise made.
And the promise was made in 1979, and she died in December of 2019.
2019.
So yeah.
December 17th?
December 17th of 2019, yes. 4 days before her birthday.
I remember.
Yep. Yeah, it
was a dear. I mean, she and I have become really good friends, and as I said, the shoot that we had for the iThrive breakthrough, you were in Wisconsin, and we actually had someone else that was supposed to be a shooter, the main shooter on that.
Yep.
And I remember calling you months and months before and saying, Greg, if you're in town, you're more than welcome to join us. Of course, I knew what was going on. You're more than welcome to join us and what have you. And Karen said, she insisted that you come. And we're like, no, it was just if you happen to be in town, on this day, join us, because we loved it, the energy. We all have so much fun when we get in the studio together.
What you don't know,
she insisted.
Yeah. Well, what you don't know, the backstory on that is, Karen looked at me. She goes, "That's Gigi. When Gigi calls, you go."
Oh, that's my
amazing.
She is an amazing person, and it's my honor to be able to have those memories with you both. And just having your friendship and here and to continuing on, Greg. I really appreciate this time. I learned, look, we've been together for 6 years.
Yeah.
Years. And I
A little
learned
bit longer than
a
that, but
couple more things today that I wasn't aware of. So
well, I,
that's a
I,
big thing about friendship, though.
yeah, I tend to be a little guarded, as you well know.
Yeah.
So I try to keep the personal and the professional separated, but on this one, um, Karen she's still with me,
She is.
and I owe it to her to tell her story.
That's right. Because she was, I mean, she smiled to the end. She smiled to the end.
Yep.
So I honor her, and we will celebrate her this year as soon as we get out of jail free card.
Exactly.
Let us out. Let us out. So, but we're definitely
Set my people free.
yes, set my people free. It takes on a whole new meaning, right?
Exactly.
Same meaning, but whole new meaning.
Exactly.
But no, thank you, my friend. I cannot wait to share this and to share more memories with you and this team. And I really appreciate everything that you've done. So I salute you as a friend and as a soldier and as someone that really has made my journey memorable. So thank
Now, I do appreciate the time. I appreciate the invitation to share Karen's story. Um, she looked at me one day and she goes, "My only concern is after I pass away that people will forget me."
no, never,
Exactly.
never.
We can't.
That's where she said, Gigi and Greg, that will never happen.
Exactly. 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 She's you know, I will tell her story for as long as I can draw another breath. You know,
Yep,
she taught me a lot just in the last year about myself and about what I can do and what it means actually to be a husband and a man. So she taught me a lot.
that's it. And that's what it's all about. You guys are the definition of, you know, promise made, promise kept.
Yeah.
That's historical. So,
Yeah.
um, but thank you, Greg. So
Thank
definitely,
you.
I will see you soon. And
Yes.
again, I'm honored. And you have a great day, my friend.
Hey, thank you for the invitation. Thank you for everything, and you guys have a good day too.
Thank you.
Okay.
Bye bye.
Bye.